Part 1. All about teamwork. What is teamwork actually? Search for teamwork definition, and you'll quickly realize that there isn't a commonly agreed definition of what is teamwork actually. While many authors emphasize the importance of teamwork, they don't provide a clear and straightforward definition of teamwork. Here are a handful of definitions we managed to find. Teamwork is the process of working collaboratively with a group of people in order to achieve a goal. Teamwork means that people will try to cooperate, using their individual skills and providing constructive feedback, despite any personal conflict between individuals. Business Dictionary: teamwork is a cooperative process that allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. J. Scarnati: team has a common goal or purpose where team members can develop effective, mutual relationships to achieve team goals. Teamwork relies upon individuals working together in a cooperative environment to achieve common team goals through sharing knowledge and skills. P. Harris and K. Harris: lack of one true definition proves that it is more important to know the purpose of teamwork than trying to define teamwork. 6 key attributes of successful teamwork. According to a case study conducted by P. Terracone and Jabe Luca of Edith Cowan University, there are 6 key attributes of successful teamwork. Commitment to team success: team members should share common goals, values, beliefs, as well as commitment and motivation to succeed. For example, each team member has to strive for perfection, which means that if developers have superb performance, designers have to keep up and vice versa. Interdependence: there is no success for an individual if other members of the team fail. For example, it doesn't matter that the design is sparkling if website crashes with every click, everyone loses. Interpersonal skills: respect, support, and realistic mutual expectations amongst team members are a must. For example, team cannot expect inexperienced junior web developer to pull the same weight as a senior one. Open communication: giving and accepting feedback as well as cultivating team spirit of constructive criticism is paramount. For example, if a young designer willingly accepts more experienced colleagues' advice, he may improve his overall performance, which will benefit the team. Appropriate team composition: specific tasks are handled by specific roles, and specific roles require specific talents and skill sets. For example, a team that is made up solely of developers will create a functional app. Design, however, will probably be way below par. Commitment to team leadership and accountability: since team members expect certain freedom when it comes to decision-making, they are more likely to accept individual accountability and personal responsibility for their actions. For example, while team leader delegates tasks and keeps track of progress, it is up to designers and developers to use their skills and deliver the final product. They will often make high-risk/high-reward moves and be more than willing to accept scolding if their leap of faith fails. Advantages of teamwork: since teamwork provides mutual moral support and a greater sense of accomplishment, it is obvious that it's very beneficial. However, the real question is, what does your company get out of it? Why should you even bother? Increased efficiency: sometimes you will handle projects that have unrealistic and non-negotiable deadlines. At those moments, it isn't enough to issue all hands-on-deck order, but to delegate properly. When members use their experience, specialization, and skill sets, targets will be achieved and tasks will be accomplished on time, with minimum errors. Complement each other's strengths: on the one hand, your company has a top-notch designer whose work will allow you to attract any client. However, he is irresponsible and always breaking deadlines. On the other hand, you have a mediocre designer, but he always delivers on time. By teaming them up, you will get the perfect combination. The former will contribute with excellent ideas, while the latter will make sure that work is done properly and on time. This is also known as the buddy system. Innovation through constructive conflict: need an immediate solution to the problem that everyone has been stuck with? Introduce a wild card to the team. Clash of characters can cause constructive conflict and produce solutions that groupthink others haven't even considered. Be wary, however, of long-term consequences. Constructive conflict can easily transform to destructive, so the introduction of the wild card should be considered only as a short-term solution. Less employee turnover: proper, well-balanced, and open-minded team is similar to your favorite bar: friendly and welcoming. The only difference is that guests, or members, don't drink, they contribute to the company's cause. By maintaining successful teamwork and positive atmosphere, you will reduce staff turnover and avoid costs of losing employees. workforce flexibility. Instead of leading everlasting recruitment campaign, you can cross-train your employees for roles outside their current responsibilities. For example, if your web designer gains basic web development skills, he will be able to pull some of the web developing colleagues' weight and avoid a bottleneck in case of his absence. Disadvantages of teamwork. While teamwork has a lot of advantages, there are some disadvantages that you should be aware of. Groupthink. Even though team members are encouraged to bond, things can sometimes go too far. If you notice that your team is neglecting alternative choices or takes irrational actions, it could be a sign they are suffering from groupthink. Has defined 8 symptoms of groupthink and determined that similar background, isolation from outside opinions, and lack of rules for decision-making are connected to the appearance of this phenomenon. Complex process. Teamwork will peak only if each and every member is given a certain role, has a certain set of skills, and is compatible with the rest of the team. But finding all pieces of the puzzle and fitting them together is difficult, expensive, and time-consuming. When choosing players for your team, the best advice is to take it one step at a time and avoid hiring anyone you have doubts about. Conflict. There is a great deal of difference in ideas and working methods among team members. Even the buddy system will fail. 2 designers with different abilities that complement each other will produce results. However, if their desires, preferences, and behavioral styles are too far apart, communication is constantly poor, and there is a lot of uncertainty during cooperation, that team is destined to fail. Evaluating individuals' contributions. Since team has shared responsibility, it is very difficult to determine if an individual has performed above or under expectations. Sometimes, this issue can result in employee dissatisfaction. If the individual has overperformed, he will be unhappy because he hasn't been rewarded properly. If he has underperformed, his teammates will be discontent and might mutiny against his lack of contribution and extra work they have to handle. There is no proper method to measure individuals' performance in the team, which is why many companies are using 360 review. Analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis occurs when a situation is overanalyzed to the point where a person cannot make a decision nor take action. A sudden stop in decision-making can cost your company time, money, and, in certain cases, even reputation. In well-balanced and functional teams, it doesn't and shouldn't occur often, but when it does, it should be resolved as quickly as possible. Conclusion. So what is teamwork actually? It's simple. Teamwork is a result of healthy collective consciousness within the group, which is essential for the group's transition into the team. Teamwork is the foundation for productive collaboration and is critical for the success of the company. Real-world examples of successful teamwork. Instead of retelling the same old stories about best teamwork practices from companies such as Google, Chevron, or Southwest Airlines, which don't really help when you have a small to medium team, we decided to find real-life examples of successful teamwork. We asked everyday entrepreneurs, CEOs, and HR managers one simple question: how did you improve teamwork in your organization? Here are the best 9 examples we came across. 3-step onboarding. Developing teamwork should start as soon as the new employee walks through the door. According to Lauren McAdams, career advisor and hiring manager at ResumeCompanion.com, the most successful method for creating excellent intra-team relations was instilling a sense of teamwork early on in the onboarding process. While we do experiment with different team-building measures, there are 3 that have become common practice. First, during onboarding, we have new employees shadow an experienced coach who is tasked with helping their integration into the team. After the initial phase, we assign the new employees to shadow other people so they get to have more than one coach. Next, when we begin a new project, I personally assign mini teams to handle those projects. These smaller units are often comprised, in part, of employees who haven't had a chance to work together. This way, new hires get an opportunity to work and develop relationships with everyone they collaborate with. And finally, leadership rotates on these projects so different people have a chance to test their leadership skills. Also, since project teams always have different people on them, everyone in the company gets to know each other at some point by working together. This level of exposure and collaboration resulted in very strong teamwork at our company. Role switching. Some organizations encourage their employees to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Lee Fisher, an HR manager at Blinds Direct, says that successful teamwork should be based on solidarity, respect, communication, and mutual understanding. With that in mind, His company has been organizing a series of team-building events over the years. Our most unconventional event to date was the Role Switch. It was launched across our web and marketing department. In the event, each team member switches roles with a colleague. Usually, team members work together closely, but they don't really understand the complexities of other person's role. Spending a day in your colleagues' shoes highlights their efforts, which brings more understanding and respect for one another. The role switch was a huge success. It brought the team closer together and made people more considerate of others' workloads and requirements. Cross-training sharing experience with your peers is important, but recognizing where they can best help you improve is even more important. According to Stephen Benson, founder and CEO of Badger Maps, his company has benefited from one self-initiated cross-training session, which resulted in increase in both teamwork and productivity. An example of successful teamwork at our company was when the customer relation department put together an initiative of cross-training and specializing team members for different roles. After deciding who will focus on what, the group sat down and taught one another what they would need to become the expert in their respective area. Because people were cross-trained, they had a broader set of skills they could use to handle customer interaction, which resulted in fewer handoffs. This not only enhanced teamwork and productivity, but also improved customer satisfaction. Everyone worked as a team and covered for one another, which made everything move smoothly and quickly. Scheduled breaks and self-reflection, publicly reflecting on achievements, increases everyone's morale. Brian Kuntz, CEO of GuideFitter, considers teamwork to be more than just brainstorming ideas or helping a colleague on a project. It's about fostering a culture of trust and respect. A few ways we cultivate an environment of trust and respect is through meetings, or rather breaks, that don't necessarily focus on work. By scheduling break times in our calendars, we allow our employees to talk, relax, and discuss the ins and outs of their days. We also strengthen our teams through brief weekly meetings with the entire office. Each Wednesday morning, we huddle up to recap the past week, with each employee sharing one professional and one personal win. This encourages everyone to pause for self-reflection on their achievements, often serving as motivation to their peers while forging a bond among our team members. Team traditions. Members of gelled teams have a strong sense of identity and often share traditions like getting together for a drink after work. According to Katarina Tranches, co-founder and CEO of Adeva, establishing team traditions is the foundation upon which teamwork is built. Rather than using one particular method for strengthening our team, we focus on creating an environment that fosters team spirit and communication. We organize after-hours drinks and hangouts, and develop a culture that encourages everyone to speak up and take part in the big decisions for the company. Team traditions can do wonders, no matter how trivial they seem. We have a team lunch every Friday, celebrate birthdays and other important dates, and celebrate one of our national holidays together. All of this has contributed to a more cohesive and a close-knit team. Unconventional business meetings. Some companies use their business meetings to improve teamwork within the organization by making them fun and laid back. James Lloyd Townsend, CEO of Frank Recruitment Group, believes that bringing teams together in an informal environment improves teamwork, strengthens bonds, and bolsters morale, which is why he decided to spice up companies' monthly meetings. One unusual method we've introduced is First Thursdays. We start off our monthly business meetings with a business review, promotions, and awards, and then move on to an open bar event. Apart from First Thursdays, we also have Lunch Club, another monthly event where employees enjoy an all-expense-paid afternoon to celebrate their success and enjoy fine dining and have fun with their colleagues. However, the most popular team-building method we employ is our incentivized weekends away. Our top-performing consultants get the chance to travel to major cities such as London, New York, and Miami as the rewards for their hard work. Peer recommendations. Some companies are building teamwork through peer recognition. Jacob Dian, a partner and co-founder of Community Tax, said that encouraging employees to be active participants in recognizing their peers has proven to be quite a powerful motivational tool. I ask employees to share or report instances when someone on their or another team has been particularly helpful or has gone above and beyond their call of duty. After we thank the contributing employee for their input, we make sure the employee being acknowledged knows the source of information. Having employees nominate their peers for recognition has the additional bonus of bringing them closer together and building camaraderie with long-term productivity benefits. However, Mr. Dian is well aware that peer reports and nominations can be driven by personal feelings, positive as well as negative, and can give an unrealistic representation of certain employees' contribution. Personal relationships, both close and less so, are an important consideration when pursuing this approach, which is why we do not hand out recognition without validating the worthiness of the employee's contribution. We ask the appropriate manager to review the submission and keep an eye on it over time, just to make sure there are no dubious activities. Conflict resolving. Successful teamwork happens when members of a group trust each other, are comfortable expressing themselves, and deal effectively with conflict. According to Laura McLeod, a licensed social worker specialized in group work, an HR consultant, and a mastermind behind From the Inside Out project, many companies think that team building is about company picnics, happy hours, and other fun events. These things are fine, but they don't address the real issues people face when they have to work together. Going out for a drink with someone you can't get along with will be just as uncomfortable and awkward as trying to finish a project with that person. The only difference is having alcohol as a buffer. According to Laura, certain team-building exercises can help individuals overcome both intragroup and personal conflicts. Choose simple activities that help build cohesion and trust amongst team members. For example, you can use pantomime in a circle exercise. Without using words, pass an imaginary object, a bucket of water or a ball, around the circle. The point of the exercise is for group members to rely on each other to complete the activity. When it comes to personal misunderstandings, you might want to choose an activity where you are actually allowed to yell at a person. So, pair off people and have them repeat opposing sentences, such as "it's hot/it's cold," back and forth, going from soft to very loud. This will allow people to get out strong emotions in a non-threatening way and blow off some steam in the process. Spotless team-building exercise. Dimitri Kara, a tenancy expert at Fantastic Cleaners, shared with us a team-building exercise his team uses to increase cooperation and efficiency. Everybody in the office has to simultaneously perform a 2 to 5 minute cleaning routine, like wipe their desk, keyboard, monitor, shelves. But there's a catch. The tools are limited. For example, make everybody wipe the dust off their desks at the same time, but provide only 2 sprayers and 1 roll of paper towel if your team has 10 members. Scarcity will encourage people to share and help each other. Besides providing obvious benefits, like cleaner working environment, Dimitri says this team-building activity boosts organization, improves long-term productivity, and develops the sense of moral, discipline, and shared responsibility. He even shares how the exercise came into being. At first, it was not really a dedicated exercise. The first time we did it all together, it was because of a video shoot. But since it felt good, a few days later somebody said, "Let's do that again." And that's where the whole thing came to be. How teams form. Just like with the question, how are babies made? The answer to the how teams form is the same. It's a process, my dear. To give you a better insight into how real teams form, we will use a case study. A team has been assembled to complete a project for a certain company. However, for this project to be successful, it should be handled by a group of individuals with very specific skills. And while the company already has required personnel on board, they are scattered all over the country and haven't worked together before, which is why a project manager has decided that the team should meet in person, even though they will be working remotely. And so the process begins. Phase 1. First meeting. Everyone's friendly, attentive, understanding, and aware of each other's skills and strengths. There is slight competition for leading positions, but nothing to be concerned about. Team-building exercises are going well, and the overall impression is that everyone is engaged with each other and enjoying each other's company. Everything seems to be going well. Phase 2. Beginning of the actual work. Team members go home and start working remotely. Even though projects started off well, arguments arise all the time. There are disagreements about schedule, duties, workload, task handling, and no one knows how much progress has been made. At this point, the project manager gets involved and tries to calm the situation. She reminds everyone about ground rules, goals, and objectives, and tries to resolve team conflicts that can't be resolved on their own. However, over time things settle down, and progress is finally being made. Phase 3. Smooth sailing. 3 months into the project manager senses that teamwork is present, even though members work remotely. Arguments are few and trivial, and teammates are supportive of each other when it comes to problem solving, decision-making, and information sharing. Also, they help each other develop skills that can help them grow. Ultimately, they became friends that share their lives outside of work. Phase 4, pinnacle of project progress. At this moment, this team can be called high-performing. Effective brainstorming sessions, a profound sense of dependence between members, and skill sets that weren't developed before are now part of this team's characteristics. The project is being delivered on time and within budget, milestones are being met, and most importantly, there is no need for the project manager to interfere. Everything is running at optimum efficiency. Phase 5, the end. After 8 months, the project has ended successfully. However, the team that gelled so well has to be disbanded, and all members return to their respected roles in their respected branch offices. At this point, there are mixed feelings within the group. On the one hand, there is a sense of sadness that the project is over. On the other, everyone is overjoyed that they had a chance to meet and work with each other. Most likely, they will remain in contact on the personal level. 5 stages of team forming. 5 phases mentioned above are actually 5 stages that every team in any company goes through. Turning a group of individuals into a team will cause discontent among your employees who, until recently, were sharing nothing more than the office. At this point, it is quite common to face resistance toward change among group members. In order for a group to become a team, there are 5 stages that it must go through: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. This scheme was devised by Bruce Tuckman in 1965, and it is considered the simplest and the most elegant explanation of team behavior and development. Forming. During the forming stage, members are usually excited and eager about the work ahead. But at the same time, they feel some anxiety and discontent because they are being forced into a different way of doing things than they are used to. At this point, new teammates avoid expressing their views and getting into conflicts. While this cautious behavior prevents the group from getting any real work done, that is perfectly fine. The focus should be on becoming more familiar with each other and on the team's purpose, not on work itself. During the forming stage, you can expect a lot of questions from the members about group goal, as well as cooperation with new teammates. It is up to you to answer them patiently and diligently. Turning a cold shoulder at this point can prolong a creation of the team. Storming. This is the time when conflicts and competition are at the peak. Feelings shift from the sense of eagerness and excitement to feelings of frustration or anger. Team members voice their concerns about the team's progress, process, goals, and the ability of their colleagues. At times, it seems like everything will blow up. At this point, questions about leadership, rules, responsibilities, structure, evaluation criteria, and reward systems are bound to arise, and they all must be answered so your team can move to the next stage. Keep in mind that the storming phase makes or breaks the team. Norming. During the norming stage, team members begin to accept that their personal expectations are different than the reality. At this point, real ideas and feelings come to light, and opinions of others and constructive criticism is wholeheartedly accepted. Everyone starts to feel as a part of a team and take pleasure from the positive atmosphere within the group. They are making a conscious effort to resolve problems and achieve group harmony. I is no longer the most important thing. Ground rules, practices, and tasks are taking the #1 spot. Therefore, this is the perfect time for team evaluation. Performing. This is what you've been waiting for. You formed a competent and committed team. Members are able to solve and prevent problems. Can-do attitude is ever present, roles become more fluid, and personal differences are appreciated and used to enhance the team's performance. However, significant changes can result in a team going back to an earlier stage. If these changes and their consequential behaviors are recognized and addressed, teams may successfully remain in the performing stage indefinitely. Adjourning. Every project will come to an end. This is called adjourning. Characterized by an emotional roller coaster, this ending stage can go 2 separate ways. With the sense of loss hovering in the air, members can either lose focus or gain the momentum by coping with grief and focusing on the task at hand. Perks of a formed team. The team has been formed, and the time of silent individuals in your open space office is coming to an end. Reorganizing group of individuals into a gelled and functional team has increased the productivity of your company. By combining efforts of many instead of relying on Individuals' contribution, you will achieve higher efficiency. A large number of people focused on the same goal will result in an increased process speed. You can coordinate team efforts by delegating roles and tasks, which in return will allow you to achieve greater effectiveness. By relying on diversity within the team, you can utilize information and knowledge that different members bring to the table. This offers an array of potential approaches which can ensure better quality of the final product. Group versus team. What's the difference between a group and a team? When people share an elevator ride, they are a group. When the elevator gets stuck, they become a team. Individuals that get on the same elevator most likely share some things, like they work in the same building and on the same floor, or they may work for the same boss and have similar interests. The mere fact that they have something in common makes them a group. However, if elevator breaks down and they get stuck, a common goal of getting out of there makes this group a team. Difference between a group and a team. A group is a collective of mutually independent individuals with separate goals who are brought together by common interests and experience. Even though everyone shares information and resources with other group members, each member is responsible for their own work. There are two types of groups. Formal group, created by the management to perform a particular task. Informal group, formed naturally by employees for different reasons. A team is an interdependent group of individuals who share responsibility and are focused on a common goal. People in a team have a mutual understanding with other members. By working together, they tend to maximize each other's strengths and minimize weaknesses. Unlike a group, where each member is expected to contribute separately, the most important characteristic of a team is synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Why is a team better than a group? 90% of articles on the internet represent group as a bad thing, and team is good thing. All these articles say, transform your group into a team, and you will achieve success. But is this true? Mostly yes. There are a few advantages teams have over groups. Like, there is a lot more communication between members. Collaboration and synergy are better. Common goal ensures that everyone are focused on the same cause. Some experts even claim that team-based organization is the only way to go. Biren Bandara, a leadership skills trainer at Leader School, says that he differentiates group versus team very clearly. In a group, everybody works on mutually exclusive tasks, while in a team, all members are focused on common goal or mission. Through completion of interdependent tasks, I've only seen pros for the team-based organization. A team allows for better syncing of efforts, streamlining of the organization, and better risk management. A team accomplishes things and do better under a lot more pressure, stress, and circumstance than a group. If those things are important to you, a team-based organization is imperative. Even though he considers group and team to be completely different entities, Biren believes that an organization can transform an inefficient group into an efficient team. If a group of individuals is ever to become a team, it needs a strong leader with strong interpersonal skills, vision, and communication. The key is to convince the group how important the mission and vision is, and then demonstrate how they can all achieve more by working together as a team. Mind you, the degree of how close the team works depends on work as well as the situation at hand. Even when team members don't have much in common and may never see each other, the binding point for the team should be the overall goal. Advantages of groups. Contrary to popular opinion, there are certain times when groups are better than teams. Groups are better in temporary working relationships when members have no time to form a proper team, but must get things done swiftly and efficiently. Also, individuals of different backgrounds hastily brought together can sometimes produce some rather unconventional and applicable ideas. Ben Friedman, a co-founder and head operations of Boston-based startup All Set, never puts a team in charge of the creation of a new product or a feature. Instead, he brings together a group of individuals to solve the problem at hand. If you are looking to ideate around a problem, groups that consist of members from different backgrounds or disciplines are the most effective, since you have the SME, subject matter expert, in the room, ready to tackle the problem. You can get different perspectives on it. Idea you wouldn't normally get with members of the same team. Group proved to be very useful when his company was creating a desktop version of their service. Since only a mobile app was available at the time, the company believed that diversification could greatly increase company's customer base. We were not sure how much of the mobile functionality we needed for the desktop experience, so we wanted to test it in the market before creating a bunch of potentially unnecessary features. To get a multitude of different perspectives on how the desktop experience should flow, we pulled together some people from several departments: marketing, customer support, operations, engineering, and product. Each member of the group was an expert in their area and had previous experience in a product or feature rollout. Also, we made sure that none of them were from a position of authority. We relied on marketing to get initial feedback to guide us on what we should build, and we turned to engineering and product to tell us what was possible and how quickly things could get done. Finally, we wanted to get something in the market quickly, and that required some heavy lifting from operations and support. Disadvantages of groups. Disadvantages of groups are most noticeable in companies that rely heavily on group organization, such as real estate firms. John Crossman, president of Crossman & Co., says that due to large sales presence, many organizations in his industry do not function in teams simply because most salespeople need to work independently. He emphasized, however, that healthy real estate companies care deeply about encouraging teamwork. I compare my role to being similar to coaching a track team rather than a football team. In football, the teammates are entirely dependent on one another. In track, most of the athletes are independent, but a good track coach trains his team to cheer for each other. The biggest disadvantage of groups, in comparison to teams, is an individual accountability, which makes organizations goal less important than personal. In the past, Crossman came across employees that were so focused on themselves and their results that they would fail to help the company. I remember one day I flew to Atlanta to pitch a client. During the meeting, the potential client mentioned that his next-door neighbor was our client. Later that day, I was meeting with my boss when the partner came into the room. My boss said to him, "John came to town to pitch a client, and it turns out he is your neighbor. Why haven't you pitched him before and mentioned John?" The partner did not miss a beat and said, "I don't see why that would benefit me," and then changed the subject. After that meeting, I've stopped referring that partner's business altogether, turning a group into a team. We already know what it takes to create a strong, performing team, but what about turning a group into a team? When trying to transform a group into a team, you can face challenges that vary from members' inability to cooperate to creation of overly gelled cliques that can be counterproductive for the whole company. According to Ivan Dimitrov, an online marketing manager at Local Fame, his agency tried to transform their work group into a team by making one of the existing members a leader. Things didn't go smoothly. In a group that's becoming too big and there's one dominant figure that's doing a great work, you'd think that promoting that person is the obvious thing to do. However, transforming a group into a team is tricky. When someone in the group becomes the leader of the team, people start perceiving them differently. At that moment, a team leader needs to establish authority and find a balance in communication. Otherwise, people will simply hate the new boss. Since everyone hated newly appointed team leader, an upper management decided to support him. Since the new boss proved himself through hard work in the past, I started to support his decisions, provided they were fair. When we were in front of the team, and he was obviously wrong, I tried to coach him and guide him in the right direction, but extremely gently. This showed everybody that he has the support of upper management and that people have to respect him and his decisions. The support of upper management provided newly appointed leader with a boost of self-confidence. Consequently, he made better decisions and achieved better results with the team. However, He will always remain the one who used to be one office. People needed time to adjust, and even to this day some of them are not comfortable with the situation. Colleagues older than him or with more experience were particularly sensitive because they thought they know and deserve more. Today, on the other hand, the results office team are great, and I can see that 90% of the people like, trust, and are prepared to follow the guy. At the end of the day, that is all that matters. Conclusion. Even though getting out of the broken elevator usually requires nothing more than the push of a button, in rare cases, there will be a need to climb into the elevator shaft. Getting a boost from people inside will help you make the climb with much less effort than trying to pull yourself up on your own. It may take some time, there might be some resistance, but with the right leadership and the right attitude, a dysfunctional group can become functional, and a functional group can become a team. Types of teams. Teams can be divided in 4 main groups: project teams, self-managed teams, virtual teams, and operational teams. What type of team you have depends its purpose, location, and organizational structure. Each type of team comes with its unique set of strengths and weaknesses. In order to fully utilize your team, you first need to understand where each type of teams works the best. Project teams. Project teams are groups of employees who work collectively toward shared goals. This type of team allows you to structure work in a specific, measurable, and time-constrained way. You can assign clear roles, responsibilities, and deadlines. Also, by selecting both experienced and inexperienced workers, you enable them to do informal coaching and mentoring. There are 4 main types of project teams. Functional teams. These teams are permanent and always include members of the same department with different responsibilities. A manager is responsible for everything and everyone reports to him. These types of teams are more likely to be found in companies that incorporate traditional project management. Sometimes, in order to complete a project, several departments need to work together. For example, work on the new product starts with the idea from marketing department. The idea is passed down to research and development to determine its feasibility. After R&D, the design department is tasked with giving it an appealing look and feel. And finally, the product is made by manufacturing department. This type of approach is known as baton passing. It requires a manager that has an oversight of the entire project and ensures that there are no obstacles when it comes to transferring work from one team to another. Cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams are made up of members from various departments. These teams tackle specific tasks that require different inputs and expertise. Even though cross-functional teams are becoming increasingly popular worldwide, a recent study has proven that whopping 75% of all cross-functional teams are dysfunctional. Matrix teams. These teams are characterized by a 2-boss system, where an individual report to a different manager for various aspects of his work. This type of team is the product of matrix management approach. Let's say Jeff, a designer, was given a task of making a design for a new product that marketing provided an idea for and that R&D deemed feasible. By being included in this project, Jeff all of a sudden has 2 bosses. The first one is a project manager who only cares about the design being done, while the other one is his functional line manager who's in charge of Jeff's training, career development, and routine tasks. While this approach helps the top management retain control over the project without being included in day-to-day decisions, employees are often faced with challenges of dual command. Jeff now has to report to 2 managers who might give him conflict instructions, which causes confusion and frustration. Contract teams. Contract teams are outsourced teams that are tied down by a contract and brought in to complete a part of a project. After the project is completed and the contract has ended, the client can cut all ties to the team, no questions asked. The project manager is the key to success when it comes to contract teams. Project manager has to maintain constant communication between the team and the client. Compensate for the lack of team's physical presence. Given that most contract teams work remotely, bear full responsibility for success or failure of a project. Self-managed teams. Typically, members of self-managed teams are employees of the same organization who work together, and even though they have a wide array of objectives, their aim is to reach a common goal. There is no manager nor authority figure, so it is up to members to determine rules and expectations, to solve a problems when it arises, and to bear shared responsibility for the results. One of the first major companies that decided to implement self-managed teams was software company Valve in 2012. Around 300 employees have neither bosses nor a formal division of labor. Instead, they are expected to organize themselves around individual or group projects and are obligated to take care of customer support themselves. The work ethic at Valve relied heavily on individual responsibility. When setting up a self-managed team, you have to define two parameters: levels of responsibility, autonomy that is given to the self-managed team. Research has shown that employees in self-managed teams feel more useful on the job and find their jobs more challenging, although there is no proof that they are actually more productive. Advantages and disadvantages of self-managed teams. Advantages: autonomy improves employee motivation. Team members can manage their own time and handle tasks when it suits them. You don't have pay for office. Shared responsibility instills pride in team accomplishments. Disadvantages: the lack of hierarchical authority can put personal relationships over good judgment. It can lead to conformity that suppresses creativity and critical thinking. Added layer of responsibility is time-consuming and requires skills that some people simply don't have. Training time and costs are higher due to broader scope of duties. Virtual teams. Virtual teams are made up of people who work in different physical locations and who rely heavily on collaboration tools to get things done together. Virtual teams provide members with better life-work balance and allow business owners to employ the best experts in the field, regardless of the fact that they live on another continent. One of the organizations that had most success with its virtual teams is Automatic, best known by their company, WordPress. Over 100 employees in 43 different countries use WordPress plugin P2 that enables them to communicate with each other in real time. Also, when a new employee gets on board, he receives $2,000 stipend to improve his home office, gets the latest MacBook, and an open time-off policy to use take free time whenever they need. It may seem a little far-fetched, but this policy is one of the key factors behind Automatic's success. WordPress is now used by 27.5% websites globally. Types of virtual teams. According to Manager's Guide to Virtual teams are characterized by three dimensions. Time, when people work. They could work during different hours, on different shifts, or in different time zones. Space, where people work. They could be working right next to each other or hundreds of miles away. Culture, how and whom people work for. Culture. Dimension includes factors such as gender, race, language, profession, education, nationality, as well as political, social, religious, and economic factors. Operational teams. Operational teams support other types of teams. They are formed to make sure that all back-office processes go smoothly. For example, Human Resource Department doesn't handle any projects, but it has to perform candidate screening, interviewing, and recruiting. If one of key players decides to leave, HR has to find a substitute so the respective team can carry on its work. Also, operational teams can have their own projects and function like a project team because they have well-defined roles and responsibilities. For instance, if accounting department received a task to make an annual financial report by certain date, they will most likely devise a timeline, delegate tasks, and keep track of deadline just like any other project team. What type of team is right for you? When choosing a type of team to perform a certain task, ask yourself these questions. What's the team's purpose exactly? How many people are required? And what will their roles be? Are selected members capable of self-management, or they require a strong leader? Is it necessary for them to be located in a single place? Is their engagement temporary or permanent? If you have a project that requires input from marketing, design as well as customer support department, choose a cross-functional team. If, on the other hand, you choose to outsource the design and agency you have chosen uses a designer that works remotely, the only logical way to go is opting for a mixture of virtual and contract team. In practice, you will rarely find a team that can be defined as solely functional or solely virtual. Most teams in modern business represent hybrid of some, even if not all of team types. Characteristics of a productive team. Did you know that a perfect, productive team has exactly 4.6 members, eats 2 pizzas for lunch, and consists of people that call themselves the Raiders or the Oogie Boogies? How team size impacts team productivity. The larger the team, the less productive they are. Large-sized teams encounter more problems of absenteeism and turnover. Members are less satisfied with their work. They experience more negative emotions, and they have lower level of mental health. When it comes to productivity and number of members of the team, less is more. Group dynamics, theory, research, and practice. An ideal team has 4.6 members, according to research conducted by Hackman and Vidmer. In order to determine how team size impacts processes and performance on different kinds of tasks, researchers formed groups that varied from 2 to 7 members. After completing their duties, all group members were asked to answer 2 questions. Was your group too small for the tasks at hand? Was your group too large for the tasks at hand? The chart below is a graphical representation of average answers to these 2 questions. The point where 2 lines cross represents an optimum size of a productive team, which is 4.6 members. To determine whether your team is too big, you can use the simple 2-pizza rule. If you can't feed a team with 2 pizzas, it's too large. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Jeff Bezos found that teams that consist of 5 to 7 people, who you can feed with 2 pizzas, are more autonomous and tend to come up with more innovative solutions. In both theory and practice shows that smaller teams are more productive than the large ones, with benefits like more effective communication, greater trust among team members, and less fear of failure. Another benefit of small teams is avoidance of groupthink and social loafing. Groupthink usually occurs when people within the group choose to neglect rational or optimal solutions for the sake of maintaining harmony within the team, where creativity, independent thinking is neither wanted nor encouraged. The real problem with groupthink is that projects are more likely to end up in a failure because no one wants to think critically and propose how to fix bad things. Then we have social loafing, which doesn't result in bad decisions, but can cause discord in a team. Social loafing usually occurs when one or several members try to get by with least amount of work possible, transferring most of the responsibility onto the rest of the team. This free rider effect can further trigger the sucker effect, where overloaded team members lower their efforts on purpose as a response to free riders. Also, there is a danger of creating a group who works hard and out-group who's slacking. This creates resentment between them, cause emotional tension, and result in low productivity. So what is the best size for a productive team? An odd number close to 5. Why an odd number? Simply because there is no danger of getting a tie when it comes voting. Gel teams. A team that lacks cohesion and synergy cannot reach its maximum productivity. In fact, it would be miraculous if it achieved any productivity at all. A gelled team is a group of people so strongly knit that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Once a team begins to gel, the probability of success goes up dramatically. They don't need to be managed in the traditional sense, and they certainly don't need to be motivated. T. DeMarco and T. Lister. Once members reach synergy and understanding, the team doesn't magically get lit up with a big gelled neon sign above them. In fact, there is hardly any indication that gelling has occurred. The best indicator of gelling is low or non-existent turnover. Also in gelled team, factors like money, status, or possibility for Advancement matter less. It is all about achieving common goals and having a blast with your friends while doing it. Gelled teams usually have strong sense of identity and even colorful names like the Okie Coders at General Electric, the Gang of Four at DuPont, the Chaos Group at Cincinnati Gas and Electric. All members in gelled teams share private jokes, catchphrases, and often get together after work. You can't just create a gelled team. According to study, managers cannot simply make a team gelled. They can, however, remove some or all of the obstacles that prevent gelling. Tips for facilitating team gelling. Avoid defensive management. No manager is all-knowing. Create the team that consists of experts in different areas and then just trust their judgment. Since this is not mistake-proof approach, you should be sympathetic toward occasional flops. If the team develops a fear of failure, they are less likely to take risks and innovate. Eliminate bureaucracy and paperwork. When comprehensive and outdated documentation becomes more important than actual work, members develop a negative attitude toward the task at hand, and negativity always results in damaging the team cohesion. Team unity. One developer can be only assigned to one team. Multiple engagements will not only decrease the performance of the individual developer, but prevent the formation of a gelling, as it's harder to bond with multiple teams. Set realistic deadlines. Unachievable deadlines dramatically decrease the productivity of the team. After constant exposure to high schedule pressure, motivation plummets. In these situations, you can expect missed delivery dates, poor quality, low morale, and loss of respect toward management. Keep the team together. The team should have its territory, an area or an office that really makes the team members feel like they own it. It should provide sufficient isolation from the rest of the company and allow the members to interact with each other freely. Face-to-face communication increases both social and task cohesion, which are key for gelling. Avoid excessive overtime. Constant overtime can result in increased turnover and greater number of defects, as well as reduced creativity, productivity, and time for self-education. Further, excessive overtime can also affect the inter-team relations, as increased stress and fatigue will make people more irritable, impatient, and frustrated. These moods will heavily damage the cohesion of the team and cause conflicts about issues that may not even exist. Tips for increasing productivity within the team. Choose appropriate management style. Depending on team composition and experience, adapt the right management style for each occasion. When working senior developers, use free rein style, as they'll appreciate more freedom. On the other hand, if you have to manage an inexperienced team, use coaching style so the team can benefit from your guidance. Try the ROWE method. ROWE stands for Results Only Work Environment and is a human resource management strategy co-created by Jody Thompson and Callie Ressler. A contribution of team members is measured through performance, results, or output, rather than physical presence in an office or number of working hours. This approach can prove to be very effective, especially if you're trying to increase the productivity of a remote team. Increase productivity through accountability. Consider creating a system in which group holds each person individually accountable. For example, make every aspect of the project transparent by allowing everyone to see which task is delegated to whom, what are the deadlines, and what tasks are running late. That way, slackers can be easily identified and offered help or confronted. However, keep in mind that this approach is considered to be counterproductive when it comes to building relationships between team members, since slacker can become outcasts. Give up on low-priority tasks. Ask your team, this task, is it a top priority? Do we have to do it today/this week? Or can we postpone it indefinitely? If certain tasks demand a lot of time and attention but have a low impact on your goals, drop them. Focus on urgent matters and prioritize problems that can be handled quickly. 11 tested hacks for increasing team productivity. Increasing productivity seems straightforward. Encourage communication, define team roles, determine adequate processes, delegate tasks accordingly, and motivate your employees through financial incentives and training. Easy, right? Except that doesn't really work in real life. It turns out everyone is already aware what should be done. The question is, how? We asked small business owners, CEOs, and HR managers to share with us actionable tips and tricks they use to increase productivity. 1. What's going on? Email every week. When we talk about productivity, transparency is unjustly neglected. By allowing the entire team to have an insight into each other's work, there is less chance of social loafing. Felix Winston, a founder and director at Talkative, maintains transparency and productivity at his startup with one simple email. Every week, every Monday morning, everyone emails 3 things at our all company. Email 1. What they said they were going to do last week. 2. What they did last week. 3. What they are going to do this week. This ritual takes only 5 minutes but has multiple benefits. We know which projects are being worked on. We can identify slipping deadlines before it's too late, and people get things done because they are accountable for their promises. With regular accountability, people started working harder to meet their deadlines. Everyone has greater visibility into what everyone else is doing, and since everything is in writing, we have also saved time, thanks to reducing excess communication made during progress meetings. 2. Zero meetings monthly. Lengthy and pointless meetings are the biggest time wasters at work. Christian Ranella, CEO and co-founder at elmejortrado.com, claims that his company increased productivity dramatically by eradicating all meetings. Eliminating meetings was a radical process that couldn't be achieved overnight, so we had to do it gradually, taking it one step at a time. At the beginning, we've sent a circular email to all employees that explained reasons for the change and how we plan to implement it. Also, we asked for feedback since we felt it was important that everyone was on board. After that, we shortened duration of meetings and reduced the number of people that were required to be present. During the first 3 months, we had 2 daily 30-minute meetings with 17 members. Later on, we moved to organizing one 15-minute meeting a day with only 5 people present. Finally, after 9 months, we completely removed meetings and started with one-on-ones only. Apart from that, we've implemented a project management and collaboration tool and moved all discussions and decision-making to our internal group. We tried using email as well but gave it up since it was too restricting. 3. 360-degree whiteboard. Whiteboards have been used for brainstorming and as a productivity tool for ages. However, since they are usually placed in meeting rooms and next to project managers' desks, everyone loses sight of them as soon as the meeting ends. According to James Goodnow, the productivity expert from the Lambert Goodnow legal team at Finnemore Craig legal firm, his organization decided to use the whiteboard paint on every surface in their workspace. This new twist on an old-school technique has made a huge difference. We have covered every surface of our war room, conference room, and much of our offices with paint made to be used with dry erase markers. We use the surfaces to brainstorm, write key tasks, create strategic mind maps, divide work assignments, and more. If something is important for goal setting and productivity, it goes on the wall to be a constant reminder of how we should focus our efforts. This one simple idea has taken our productivity to new levels. 4. Short walks every hour. Pomodoro technique is widely accepted as a viable productivity hack. However, Tyler Stavila, marketing specialist at OWDT, has taken it a step further. His 18-member team increases productivity by taking hourly breaks in the form of short group walks. We have gone out to lunches together. We have gone out together socially, but for us as a company, nothing has helped promote productivity more than our exercise program. By getting up and breaking up the day with short walks, we are bonding as a team, getting our circulation systems moving, and focusing more at work. Through this program, we are adding 30 minutes of exercise to the workday. By adding that reset every hour, people come back to the screen refreshed and focused. We noticed that if people spend longer than 2 hours at the desk, their productivity levels go down quite a bit. 5. Fitness wristbands for all. Being overly engaged, overly productive, and overly efficient will overload your system. James McCarty, CEO of Placement Labs, considers burnout to be the greatest enemy of productivity. So he decided to tackle the problem with hardware. To combat the burnout, I purchased a fitness wristbands for each member of my team and encouraged them to get up, take a little walk, chat with coworkers, and just take their minds off of their work for several minutes each hour. Since then, most of my employees appear to be fitter, happier, and more productive. Since the moment I gave out these wristbands, I have noticed an increased focus on fitness, with team members looking at the data on each other's trackers and then going right outside for a walk to increase their step count. I do happen to have a fairly competitive group, though, so the trackers have yielded healthy competition, both literally and figuratively. 6. Extra paid time off. Whether it's because of personal issues or burnout, a distracted employee is an unproductive employee. According to Sean Rubel, a CEO of Easy, letting your team members unwind from time to time at company's cost is an excellent way to increase morale and productivity. Between kids, travel, and side hustles, we realized that some members of our team, many of whom are remote workers, needed a couple of days off to get their personal affairs in order. It turned out that they were taking a lot of unpaid time. So as an incentive and a way of showing appreciation, we provided more paid time off to all members of our team. Everyone enjoyed this option, and the flexibility has boosted company morale. As far as working conditions are concerned, we tried to create a system in which employees depend on one another. This approach removed micromanagement while still ensuring that work gets done quickly and efficiently. With a strongly connected team and good flexibility, we feel our team is far more productive than they would be in a strict, cold environment. 7. The love token. If members strive to help each other, the overall productivity of the team will inevitably increase. Knowing this, Allison Donaghy, the owner of Sunshine Girls Painting Company, introduced a very intuitive peer review in her organization. I do love tokens. Every other week, between paydays, I ask my staff to submit votes or love tokens to their fellow workers. All of the tokens have to be used. They can't all go to one person, and employees can't vote for themselves. They give them to their coworkers based on how well they show up, how easy they are to work with, and how inclined they are to help. The winner with the most tokens gets a $50 bonus. This concept was widely accepted and embraced by my employees. Created acknowledgement between peers and has proven to be very effective. However, the best part of this peer review is the fact that I can pinpoint bad fits simply by analyzing love token distribution over the course of several months. If someone is getting no love, it's a good warning sign that something is off. 8. Hiring aggressive but talented individuals. Some entrepreneurs believe that productivity is in direct correlation to attitude. For example, Joshua Mia, founder and CEO of Therapist Marketing, chooses only the incredibly talented, assertive, and aggressive individuals. He believes these types of employees bring a lot of positive characteristics. An aggressive person is not just aggressive. They can also have integrity, be reflective, and act kindly to their peers. Furthermore, that aggression may be targeted primarily toward a collective goal. The one drawback to this approach is that it can be disruptive at first, when you have a bad hire and conflict ensues. However, this is usually quickly resolved when other members of the team protect the culture and company values as aggressively as their own. Internal fights do happen, but if the culture is clear, then the fights resolve well. The upsides outweigh the drawback in my view. You are always building toward the most elite, passionate, outwardly competitive, and capable unit possible. 9. The Supervisor Cup. When your company has many employees, it's important not to lose focus of your supervisors and managers, says Brandy Shope, the corporate director of human resources at HB McClure Co. 2. Keep them motivated. Her company created something called the Supervisor Cup. Each week, the executive team assigns a task. If a supervisor completes it, his or her name is entered into a monthly drawing for the chance to win a gift card. We are aware that people typically do not leave successful companies unless they feel there is poor management in place. So the Supervisor Cup is a unique practice to keep our supervisors focused on employee engagement. Not only it's a competitive and fun way to improve engagement and productivity, but it also reminds managers about motivation, rewards, and recognition, and has been very positively received amongst team members. 10. Close coordination and weekly task delegation. For company goals to be achieved, there should be excellent as well as intra-team communication. Louis Ballasny, managing director of BotKeeper, claims that productivity at his organization is maintained by constant communication and proper task management. The key is in the close coordination of different members from various departments. To achieve constant communication, we have 90-minute weekly management calls, 15-minute daily check-ins, and weekly 1-hour one-on-oneness. During our weekly management calls, we determine and assign tasks that are most crucial to moving the company forward. That means our business is improving every week, and our team is collaborating on high-level items while completing smaller tasks individually. When an individual takes on a task, there is a mutual understanding on time and effort required for its completion. If they feel the task at hand is something they wouldn't be able to be held accountable for, that task is given a later due date, or some less urgent task will get pushed to a later completion date. 11. Setting attainable goals. One can only be productive if they know what is expected of them. That is why Lisa Chu, owner of Black & Bianco, always sets realistic and attainable goals for her team. By setting long-term goals and milestones, my team feels a sense of accomplishment and pride when they complete their task. I always explicitly articulate my next business plan because I want them to understand and feel personally connected to the concept. If I set too many unrealistic goals and deadlines, I would be setting them up for failure. Not only will their productivity suffer, but the stress will affect their efficiency. When my team feels they are contributing to our success, they feel accountable for their work. These are the two most important foundations on which every great and productive team rests on. High-performing teams. Every Rolls-Royce is a car, but not every car is Rolls-Royce. Similarly, not every team is a high-performing team. To know what are high-performing teams, all we have to do is upgrade our team definition, creating a high-performing team. Now that we know what a high-performing team should look like, the next question is how to make your team high-performing. Creation of a high-performing team doesn't just happen on its own. According to a certified Scrum trainer Mike Levison, there are 5 things you must do if you want your team to become a high-performing one. Form a stable team. When teams form, you should focus your attention on the stable stage. You should take your time and carefully select team members because once you do it, you should stick with them through thick and thin. It takes at least 6 months to create a high-performance team. If everything runs smoothly, if members often come and go, and the only real improvements come from strengthening the inter-team relationships, form a high-performing team becomes very difficult. Value cohesion. Cohesion is a state when members possess bonds that link them to one another or the whole group. Cohesive teams don't happen overnight. It takes time and diligence to achieve them. Team networks with a high degree of cohesion provide a free stream of information and build trust amongst team members, thus increasing the performance. However, you have to be very careful as there is a real danger of team becoming over-cohesive and susceptible to groupthink, where, over time, their shared beliefs and assumptions become wrong if unchallenged by someone. Therefore, while cohesion is crucial for high performance teamwork, it has to be carefully managed and regularly offset by Input of ideas from outside sources. Coach the team as a team, not as a group of individuals. Usually, human resource departments focus solely on individual skill development rather than the growth of a team. This approach will not get you a high-performing team, but a drastically inferior, high-performing group has a few recommendations. Have regular one-on-one meetings with your team members. Use them to discuss individuals' habits and behaviors and how they affect the team. You should hold this meetings off-site, where no other members can eavesdrop. If you're dealing with less confident team members, ask for a written feedback. Provide thoughtful feedback on small but important things, like the way individual faces other members, how much they interrupt others, and how well they listen. You are a leader, so be an example of the behavior you expect everyone to follow. Know your failings and work on them. Your team will react well to the positive example and are more likely to follow your lead. Rearrange office seating to encourage member interaction and create opportunities to encourage social conversation. Set desks so everyone can see each other and choose an office that suits the size of your team. If it's too small, it'll feel cramped and uncomfortable. If it's too big, the distance between members will discourage interaction. The most important thing, change team members only if you don't have any other choice. Get them out of their workspaces. Stimulate interaction between team members in places other than their desks. It can be around a water cooler, in a kitchen next to a coffee maker, or in a lounge area with foosball table. Casual chit-chat and relaxed atmosphere provide incentives for great ideas and increase team cohesion. This is also known as the water cooler effect. To take it a step further, get your team out of the office altogether. Organize a simple team lunch or any other social event, drinks, with a game of darts maybe, and just let them bond. Work-related topic will come up sooner or later, and relaxed atmosphere will. Encourage everyone to give their input on the subject, whether it is useful or not. Somewhere among those suggestions there may be a solution your team has been looking for. Set effective performance goals. The difference between effective and ineffective goals are actions with a clear intent. By setting effective goals, you will make the team more effective as well. They will be more energized, focused, persistent, creative, and tactile. High-performance teams are called high-performing because they are able to do much more quality work in the shorter amount of time. However, it is up to you as a team leader to provide them with the means to do that by setting highly specific goals. A goal that states increase speed of loading time of page X to under 0.7 seconds sounds much more specific and challenging than plain increase the page loading speed request. Common characteristics of a high-performing team. What separates a high-performing team from any old team are its specific characteristics, hence the definition upgrade. To explain this better, we'll use house-building metaphor. Effective working procedures. The foundation upon which the house, or the team, is built. Similarly to the shaky foundation, ineffective procedures prevent the team from being constructed and can cause problems with gathering, organizing, and evaluating information, while at the same time discouraging creativity, innovation, and risk-taking. Shared values. All members know that the house has to be built, but in a high-performing team they also share a vision of what the house should look like. They also share goals, objectives, and values, while being focused on results and solutions. The final goal is always clear, frequently re-evaluated, and shared by all. Shared leadership. Depending on the floor or the task team is currently working on, different members take turns in being the leader. When workers are installing wiring, the electrician is in charge while everyone else just wield the hammers. As he is an expert in the field, others will follow his orders and his instructions, no questions asked. Mind you, there is always one formal team leader, but their sole purpose is coaching and mentoring. Complementary abilities. Builders can get you the walls, but the house won't be functional if there are no plumbers or carpenters. In properly made teams, each member possesses a certain knowledge, set of skills, and personal strengths. Synergy with other members is what makes the team highly productive. Trust and mutual respect. If you ask a member of a high-performing team about their colleague's ability, they will always answer, "If anyone can do that job, they can." And not only that, they will do it right. Everyone values and supports each other, and feedbacks are wholeheartedly accepted. There is no bad blood, only desire to succeed. Adaptability to changes. Projects change all the time. The yellow wall suddenly has to become a green wall, and the existing tiles in the bathroom should be replaced as well. When it comes to handling drastic changes, high-performance teams don't revel in self-pity and give. They analyze, adapt, and perform. Constant learning and improving. Mistakes are a learning tool, and there are no repercussions if members examine what went wrong and don't make the same mistake again. They may knock down wrong walls, but the important part is they won't do it again. Regular result evaluation. To ensure construction is heading in the right direction, an engineer has to take a step back and take a look at the house. From time to time, a high-performing team does that after every major milestone. Why? Because it gives them a realistic completion time as well as an opportunity to foresee obstacles that may arise. Open communication. If effective procedures are the foundation of the team, communication is the roof. In high-performing teams, dialogue and attentive listening is ever present, and there is a constant flow of information. Constructive conflicts between team members do happen, but are mostly personal and organizational in nature. It is important to remember that misunderstandings can be a good thing because they fight groupthink. High-performing team model. The Performance Factor, a book by Pat McMillan, CEO and founding partner of Triaxial Partners, gives the best graphical representation of high-performing team model. The model is represented as a circle because each characteristic is equally important for the team to achieve desired and measurable business result. Business results, the center of the circle and the ultimate goal. The point of teaming up is accomplishing results that you as an individual can't achieve alone. However, those results need to be measurable. Without a clear goal, team efforts can come down to focusing on how we feel about our team. When members concentrate more on their feelings rather than meeting goals, team efforts tend to get treated like HR exercises. Focus remains on team building. Strong relationships are an important piece, but they're not the only piece, which is why business results are at the center. The reason for cooperation, common purpose. Team's common goal has to be clear, relevant, significant, urgent, and achievable. It represents the cornerstone of a high-performance team. Without it, team members won't be able to align their efforts in the same direction. And since teamwork is a means to an end, an effective team must be purpose-directed and judged against its results. The strategy for cooperation. Setting clear roles. Member roles have to be defined, compatible, complementary, complete, congruous, and should cover everything that needs to be accomplished. The key to tapping into the potential synergy of the team is proper task delegation based on various strengths of the members. The structure for cooperation, accepted leadership. High-performing team leaders are flexible, service-oriented, and task-driven. An effective team leader quickly adjusts to various situations and personalities, keeps team purpose in mind at all times, and remembers that the leadership role is designed to serve, not to be served. The method of cooperation, effective processes. The process needs to be well-defined, designed, documented, straightforward, and continually improved. It's not just about how the team gets things done, but how it thinks as a unity as well. These processes need to be mastered, mapped, and changed when required. The unoptimized process is nothing more than a time waster and a taxation on productivity. The climate of cooperation, solid relationships. Solid relationships are based on trust, understanding, sincerity, respect of contribution, acceptance of differences, and mutual accountability. The objective is not to become best friends, but to know how to work together. By being solid, relationships can withstand misunderstandings, conflicts, and occasional bad days. The means of cooperation: excellent communication. Communication within the team should be clear, honest, timely, and accurate. It allows the team to coordinate divided roles, provide feedback, clarify details, and resolve conflicts effectively. Excellent communication is the glue that holds the team together. Final words. Once you take a ride in a Rolls-Royce, other cars simply do not live up to the expectation anymore. Similarly, once you become a part of the high-performing team, going back to work with an ineffective team becomes a punishment. Forming a high-performing team takes time and effort, but once they gel and start producing results, they become indispensable. Asset of every company. Belbin team roles. Why is your team successful? Why is your team failing? Dr. Belbin has an answer. Dr. Raymond Meredith Belbin is the leading authority on team roles. His research, that spanned more than 40 years, showed that it is more important how members fit together than how smart they individually are. Successful teams were comprised of members with different and compatible roles, while unsuccessful ones were characterized by constant conflicts between members with similar tendencies and personalities. What happens when you make a team out of players? Belbin's research produced several personality tests that enabled experts to determine if an individual will become a business superstar. Those who passed with flying colors were smarter, had better analytical skills, and were better than others in almost every aspect. Logically, the next step in research was to create a super team made up entirely of these outstanding individuals. Belbin named them the Apollo team. Expectations were high as everyone thought the superstars of the Apollo team would achieve success effortlessly. However, it turned out that team made out of the strongest individuals is not as effective as it should be. What's more, it usually performed worse than a regular team. The Apollo team members had spent most of their time debating and trying to persuade other members that their point of view was the correct one. However, no one was willing to change their point of view, and each member loved to find holes in each other's arguments. The team couldn't reach a decision together while more pressing jobs were completely neglected. Belbin team roles. The Apollo team experiment proved that good teams require balance. Over the course of years, Belbin defined 9 possible team roles, which he categorized into 3 groups. Action-oriented roles. Action-oriented roles focus on improving teams' performance, putting ideas into action, and meeting deadlines. The 3 action-oriented roles are shaper, extrovert that questions assumptions; implementer, brings self-discipline to the team; completer finisher, pays attention to smallest details and makes sure things are done right. People-oriented roles. People-oriented roles bring people and ideas together. The 3 people-oriented roles are coordinator, brings order into the team; teamworker, provides support to the team in a diplomatic way; resource investigator, develops outside contacts. Thought-oriented roles. Thought-oriented roles analyze options and provide technical expertise. The 3 cerebral roles are plant, comes up with innovative, groundbreaking solutions; monitor evaluator, assesses team decisions analytically and critically; specialist, experts in particular subject matter. Roles characteristics, contribution, and weaknesses. Each Belbin team role comes with its set of characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses, some of which are allowable and others that are not. Ideal team for a small business. To have a well-functioning team, it would be ideal to have a member for each role. However, to make that happen, you would need a team of at least 9 people. Since small businesses often work with smaller teams, it is only fair to ask, how would Belbin construct a successful small team? Firstly, it would be ideal if the team had 6 members. Belbin's research has proven that teams with less than 6 members struggle with work and overlapping duties, while teams with more members, 7+, tend to get lazy and do the same amount of work as the 6-member team. Secondly, Belbin claims that successful small teams should have one coordinator, one implementer, and one plant. Those are a must. Choose other roles as you see fit. You are probably wondering, if I have a task that requires creative solution, why don't I just gather 3 plant members and let them work their magic? It turns out you shouldn't do this. During his research, Dr. Belbin wanted to know how teams made of people with similar personalities function in everyday business, environment, and how they cope when it comes to problem solving. To achieve this, he divided examinees into 4 groups based on their personalities. Stable extroverts, excellent communicators. They are best as sales representatives or HR managers. Anxious extroverts, ideal for high-paced working environments. They are most likely to work as sales managers, works managers, and editors. Stable introverts, perfect for long-lasting, close-knit teams. Their usual occupations are administrators, solicitors, government officials, and corporate planners. Anxious introverts, they excel at individual jobs that require self-direction and self-sustaining persistence. These are extremely creative people, research scientists, and specialists on long-term assignments. Each group was divided into a number of teams. These newly formed pure teams brought out extremes in behavior and effects. Results showed that purely extroverted teams had a higher rate of success than purely introverted ones. On the other hand, there were differences in results as each group had strengths and weaknesses. Stable extrovert teams. These teams work well together, enjoy group work, have a versatile approach, and use resources well. However, they are inclined to be euphoric and lazy. They had achieved good results overall, but are dependent on one another. Anxious extrovert teams. They are dynamic and entrepreneurial, good at seizing opportunities, and prone to the healthy disagreements. On the other hand, they are easily distracted and can quickly stray off topic. They had excellent results in rapidly changing situations, but were utterly unreliable at other times. Stable introvert teams, excellent planning and strong organization are their strong suits. However, they tend to be slow-moving and often neglect new factors in a situation. When it comes to results, team members didn't really care whether they were good or bad. Anxious introvert teams. These teams are capable of good ideas, but have a tendency to get preoccupied and often lack team cohesion. Naturally, their results were poor. In some cases, different teams of the same group achieved different results. After closer analysis, Belbin determined that every pure team that achieved a noticeable result had one thing in common. One of the members has taken the role of an implementer. Implementers were not simply team members who only did or arranged things. Most work involves both. In behavioral terms, they were people who essentially worked for the company rather than in pursuit of self-interest, and did so in a practical and realistic way. They could identify with the organization and would accept and look for goals and work that fell in line with its ideals and aspirations. There was never any question that jobs would not be done because they did not feel like it or it did not interest them. RM Belbin management teams. Why do they succeed and fail? These implementers were disciplined individuals who got work done swiftly and systematically, tough-minded, practical, trusting, and tolerant towards others, conscientious and aware of external obligations, respectful of existing conditions and ways of looking at things, with a well-developed sense of self-image and a high degree of internal control. Belbin figured out that he finally found the secret sauce for the perfect worker. Therefore, the next logical experiment was to create a team made entirely out of implementers. Just like with the Apollo team, expectations were high, and just like with the Apollo team, these teams of perfect workers turned out to be a disappointment. According to the findings, they produced average results at best. Implementers were well organized and diligent, but lacked any real ideas. They were strongly committed to anything they set in motion, but were disturbed if plans changed. Simply put, they worked well but failed to get good results. Final words. Just like in the group versus team matter, Dr. Belbin proved that closely knit teams of compatible members will get you much further than the group of highly intelligent but stubborn individuals. So, when making a team, take your time with the recruitment process and choose your team members carefully, because in the end, they will be the ones who bring you success or failure. To find out your Belbin role, visit www.belbin.com and apply for an official test. You can also take a free Belbin test alternative at testyourself.psychtest.com/testid/3113. Team building games that really teach teamwork. Not all team building games are good. When you're planning a team building and reading what games you can use, they all look good on paper, but once you actually use them, they are bad. People get bored, don't understand the rules, or think the game is dumb. So, when planning a team building session, you need to know the games will be good. Here are some proven hits from extensive personal experience that both teach teamwork and make teams gel. These games will stick in people's memories for years. They're that good. Warm-up games. Most of the games you'll find on the net are either short or don't exactly accomplish the goal of team building. Their purpose is to warm up people for the main game, get them excited, set the mood, and break the ice if people don't know each other. When building a team building session, you'll use one quick warm-up game and one long main game. Each game needs to have a facilitator that'll explain the rules and guide the group. A warm-up game shouldn't last longer than 10 to 15 minutes. Note, you can make a session using several quick games, but the session won't be useful. Game number 1, 2 truths and a lie. Everyone has to introduce themselves to the group and tell 2 truth facts about themselves and 1 lie. The group then has to guess which one is a lie. You can even vote. The game is a good icebreaker if people don't know each other well. Game number 2, 7. People stand in a circle and count. The first person says 1, the second says 2, and so on. When number 7 comes up and it's multiples, 14-21-28-35, the person has to clap instead of saying the number. If they say the number, they're out. To make the game more difficult, you can change the number or introduce new moves, e.g., jump. Game number 3, action intros. Each person says their name, adds an adjective that starts with the first letter of their name, and acts out that adjective. 4. Example. A person named Bill will say, "I am Bossy Bill," and act like a boss. The point of the game is to have fun and learn people's name. Game number 4, 60-second speeches. Each person has to talk on some topic for 60 seconds non-stop, without a pause. Choose a fun topic and let people have fun. The main team building games. For the main game, you'll need materials and or handouts, depending on the game. These games typically last around 30 minutes and longer, but you can always extend the deadline if you see people enjoy. After each game, make sure you have a wrap-up discussion, where you'll talk about their collaboration process, decision making, what they learned, and how would they improve the process. Game number 1, survival games. There are several survival games, and they are all variations on a theme. The team is either lost at sea, in a desert, or on a moon. The team's job is to survive as long as they can. To help them survive, they get a list of 15 items, and they have to rank each item according to how important they think it is. First, each person gets a paper and ranks the items alone. Then, the whole team gets one paper, and they have to rank items together. In the end, the facilitator reveals the correct ranking, and people have to compare it with their personal and team's ranking. Usually, people on the team get more things right than as individuals. The point of the game is to show how everyone is better thanks to teamwork. If, on the other hand, an individual gets more things right than the team, it's a sign they need to work more on making their voice heard. Game number 2, bank robbery. Someone robs the bank. Each person gets a few clues, like Mr. Green was the only person who had a key to the vault. The team has to figure out who robbed the bank without showing their clues, but they can read them to the team word for word. People have to talk with others and piece everything together. The The game teaches the importance of sharing information and that each person has special insight that they need to share in order to solve a greater problem. Game number 3, building games. 2 or more teams get materials with which they have to build something. In the simpler version, teams compete who will build the highest tower with materials they have. In the more complex version, the team has to buy resources and build a bridge. Each team gets some money with which they can buy scissors, glue, paper, etc. But the trick is, materials are limited. So for example, if there are 4 teams, there are only 3 pairs of scissors and 10 sheets of paper, so there is always a pressure to buy materials before the other teams. The team has to carefully juggle resource allocation, planning, and work delegation. The winner is determined by the jury who tests the bridge based on several criteria. Stability, will it collapse if you put something on it? Looks, how pretty/creative it is. And budget, how much money the team saved. Game number 4, Zoom. This game is based on the book Zoom by Istvan Banyai. Each page in the book is a zoomed-in aspect of another page. Each team member gets a laminated page from the book, and they have to arrange the pages in the right order. To do this, they have to talk to each other and discover who has the missing pieces. Game number 5, the lifeboat game. This game is about making difficult moral decisions as a team and reaching a consensus. The team gets a list of 14 people who are on a sinking ship in the middle of the ocean. There is one lifeboat, which can rescue only 8 people. The team has to decide together who is worth rescuing, and they have only 15 minutes. The people on the list are morally ambiguous, and there is no right choice. For example, who is worth more? Billy, a 16-year-old boy who steals, or Tom, a 41-year-old war hero who hears voices? Expect a lot of discussion on ethics and strong opinions. The final list doesn't matter. The point of the game is for people to reach the consensus within 15 minutes or everyone dies. Game number 6, Faraway Kingdom. People will hate this game, which is why they can learn so much from it. The game teaches the importance of communicating, progress, and what happens when you don't give feedback. There are 2 teams, those who wait and those who work. While the working group solves a problem, the waiting group waits and gets more and more anxious. The point of the game is for someone from working group to brief the waiting group on what's going and manage their expectations. Of course, you as a facilitator don't tell them that. They have to learn that on their own. This is a game where the wrap-up discussion is the most important part. Other team building options. Team building sessions and team building games are fun if you don't have much time or resources. But if you really want people to bond, take them outside. It doesn't necessarily mean outdoor. Take them outside the world of their workplace they cohabit each day. Make it an experience. There are 3 options for this. Organize an activity. This is the cheapest/easiest/most organic way to make people bond. All you have to do is find an activity, organize people, and let them have fun. You can go on a hike, a conference, do room escape, scavenger, hunt, obstacle course, play a sport, bowling, shooting, basketball, rowing, paintball, or a video game, Overwatch, League of Legends. Just make sure there is a clear start and finish, and that people get to interact with one another. This means don't go to the movies or something similar where people can't mingle. Hire a consultant. Big companies typically have an HR specialist who creates and runs team building sessions, or hire consultants that teach their team about leadership, teamwork, and collaboration. If you don't have the time to create a team building session, hire an expert. Consultants typically come to your offices, but you can also go on a retreat where you'll rent a hotel and fill the day with games the consultants will facilitate. There are plenty companies who organize team building games, like Eagle's Flight Human Synergistics. Go on a company retreat. This options is the best if you're a remote company and people know each other only through their screens. You can pick a destination, rent a mansion on Airbnb, and fly everybody in. Then, you can mix team building games, fun activities, and work. Folks at Help Scout and Buffer do this and have written extensively on the topic on their blog, so make sure to read about their experience and hear what advice they have.